here's the truth. Networking gets you hired. And online applications, you might ask? Not so much. And here is why. Up to 85% of jobs are never posted online. Imagine that. They go to the people who talk to people. That's it. And let's be honest, networking can feel awkward, fake, and even scary. But it's still how most people get hired. Today, I'm learning how to do it in a way that is real and feels authentic. And I am taking you with me. Welcome to How to Get the Job with your host, Gedre. I'm going through a job search myself, step by step, right alongside you. Every week, I sit down with a smart guest and then I try their advice in real life. This week's topic, networking. And I get it. Even saying the word can feel awkward, but it doesn't have to be this way. What if networking is just about being seen and starting real conversations with people who get it? So, my guest today is Kotryna. She's a networking and philanthropy expert who has helped so many women return to work and land a job they didn't even know existed. Hi, Kotryna.
Hi, hello, Gedra.
So let's jump straight into the networking conversation because
do
this is apparently what gets me hired. So, why does the word networking feel so heavy, especially for women in career transitions?
That's the good question. I think that it really depends on many aspects: psychological, sociological, and in general, cultural. I would say that there are some myths and personal perceptions. For example, like networking is just a shallow activity when I need to sell something or to show off in events, or networking is happening only at the events, and events usually full of people we don't know, right, with their own agendas. And what if I'm more sensitive person, or I'm introvert, and so on and so on. I'm really passionate about this very important life skill because it's actually so simple. And I'm so passionate to tell this to people because, as you say, it looks like people tend to make it very complicated. Many people share this, but the most important thing is to understand why.
I so feel you. Every time I know that the meeting will be about the networking, I have this fear inside me that I have nothing valuable to offer in return. What will I tell them? And how can I sell them myself? So, what if I feel like I have nothing valuable to offer?
The other, this is a perfect question because very often people don't see value in simple things. And one of the key gift that you can give and exchange in networking, which is constant exchange, right, in between of two and more people, is the gift of attention, right? Conversation or meeting or group discussion is the best. When we had an opportunity to talk and somebody listened to us, we humans tend to put some kind of like humans on the pedestal and imagine and they are higher than us, although they are simple people. So what is very interesting that I don't need to be the most interesting person in the room. I have to be the best journalist in the room. Usually works very well, and this is a huge value I can exchange. The second point of in terms of the values is basically we all share knowledge, information, stories, inspirations. Even if you have, like, in a professional event, somebody struggles to decide where to go in the world for the holiday, right? And you've been trotting around the world while having a career break. Telling all these human adventure stories is already an amazing value, right? And also, the third point is support in terms of saying, wow, that's amazing. You did a great job, acknowledging something that the person did. And the last one, which is very often overseen, is a good mood. As I once read, if you're in career break and you have this whole conversation with someone who is, 20 or 30 years in the business, in corporate, think that that person might dream about a break, right? So own it, own your career break. and tell them what you have learned in it, what you discovered. Networking conversation is not about going through your CV, right? It's about being interesting human. What builds the connection is basically openness, professional vulnerability, and well, I would say interesting personal stories.
I just want to take a pause here and just breathe in and for us, all of us listeners, to remind ourselves you don't have to be the best.
Exactly.
So you just have to be yourself. Own your experience. Wow, Katrina, your words sounds so inspiring. Own your own experience.
Perfect point. Like 2 years ago, I went to European Philanthropy Foundation's networking forum with 800 delegates, and I knew zero people. I was like, all right, it doesn't feel comfortable flying to Ghent and going into the room full of 800 people. And then in the plane, I was saying, okay, going through the questions to myself. So why I'm going there? What is the goal? Okay, I'm going to get inspiration and learn. So as a student, so what do I want to learn? And then you go into the student mode. It's easy because then you just come up with a question. So for opening the conversation. So how do you do that? What is your foundation about? Why did you choose this field? But basically, once you decide that who you are, taking the mode of not the best in the room, being professionally vulnerable and curious, somehow it sets into the place. And I would say, if you really feel uncomfortable, it's always good to take a friend, agreeing that you're not going to stand together all the time, but going to be a safe harbor to each other. Or if it's a small event, writing the organizers, asking who should I meet in this field, and they would be happy to introduce. Or going to the private party of the friend, telling them, being vulnerable, saying, I'm a bit modest. Maybe you can help me at the beginning. So it's about being vulnerable and saying that I'm not the most interesting person in the room, and that's okay.
And asking questions. It's okay to prepare those questions in your head. What would be interesting for you to learn if you already know what kind of people is going to be there, or just basic questions. I remember this one story where I had a friend, and she would always say, we were going to this party, and I was like a bit shy. What I'm gonna talk, and she said, "Gedra, here are three questions. Do you like to ski? What countries do you like to visit? And I think so. What it's something about the pie. But anyway, we went in with those three questions in case we don't have what to talk about with the people we meet.
Culturally, in some countries, right, education systems raise us with the thought that if you ask questions, you are stupid. It means you don't know a lot, and then, boo, bad mark, or like, judgment or whatever, right? So people tend to be quiet. In some countries, if you don't ask questions, it means you don't think, right? You don't have anything to add, nothing to challenge. So I would invite us to really invest into the skill of asking questions.
It's a big present to have interesting people in front of you and to wish to know more about them. Then your mindset shifts. It's not about you anymore, it's about them.
Exactly. The
So
spotlight is on them. And actually, like you just mentioned, doing the homework, I think, is the key. Like I mentioned, preparing before going to the event or meeting, or check it out what people are posting on LinkedIn, what kind of comments they get or discussions, what articles they give, what is the results of the company or startup, or get the summary of the book. So just to have like some kind of the way to say a compliment.
So let's talk about what real networking actually looks like.
Okay, so basically, networking is about not only collecting content, but it's about building the relationship, building connections. If we imagine that it's a marathon, for each connection to build the trust, right, through the time, to have some interactions, adventures, projects together, deeper conversations, then you can say that, I know that person. This he's my connection, not my contact. I could ask that person for introduction. An introduction is very intimate thing. You put your face next to another person's face, making the bridge, right? So I mean, these type of people can do it. Like contacts not gonna do it for you, right? So networking is about that. And also another thing is that we have to build our network before we need it. So I was talking about investment type of networking. So thinking who are most interesting people around what I can give to them, how can I be in his um, field of view, how can I show my face, how can I serve for the community, for example, of interesting people, and basically understanding that today I'm showing attention, today I'm doing something maybe for free, doing some good stuff, I'm being kind and curious, and tomorrow somebody gonna do it for me, and it always works because there is also this book of Adam Grant, it's called Give and Take, about givers and takers. And the book discovers a lot of interesting examples how actually givers wins in the society because they share and they get this return on investment. If you never build any connections and never thought in this way, and suddenly in this whatever career gap you need another job, then it can be a bit more tense because you don't have anyone to lean on, in anyone well connected in the areas where you want to work, in other companies, in other industries.
I would like to sum up. So, the three simple ways to network without making a big deal. Kotryna's simple ways are: look at it as investment, also build a strategy, and don't forget to give as well.
Yes, and maybe I can add one more, which is very important. I love this principle of which is saying that very often we have more connections than we think we do. So the audit of what we have around us is very important. So we all have strong ties, our closest bubble, family, partners. We have dormant ties, which is actually people we used to work with, we used to study with, and just don't forget them. And we all have those few which we keep in our hearts, carry them, but don't have time to write. And sometimes after 5 years, we don't feel we have right to approach them because there's so many time pass by. But at the same time, this is where, according to all research, which is where our opportunities laying down, because these people, especially those who you had like adventures, good time together, some kind of deeper connection, they will be happy to meet for a coffee in a couple of months and give you an advice or tell them what's happening in the industry. It's just that we have to be brave to write them.
And as you mentioned, reconnect with your past relationships. And do you think if writing a personal message can be for someone a bit timid, like commenting on LinkedIn posts or replying to newsletters, so does it also count as a networking?
For sure. Instead of just scrolling LinkedIn, we could just really practice a 5-minute favor rule, comment, don't feel fake, find people who you're genuinely interested in, connect to them and support your dormant ties before you actually need something from them, or before you ask them something.
So I wanted to bring us more to this topic about networking. How can we do it while we are online, and what kind of mistakes to avoid while doing it?
That's very good question, but it's actually really depends on the situation. So some of my friends who I interview on my LinkedIn Live about how do they do the networking, because I think they do it great, and that's why I want them to share it. Some of them, of course, are salespeople or business development people, all right? And they say, I never sell on the first call or first meeting at the conference. I never brag about what our products and services are amazing. So sometimes we can dance this a bit longer dance and either online as better friends, dormant ties, or first circle people who you trust. Maybe you could introduce me to this and that person. Maybe you could recommend me to this and that person and say a good word because I'm really looking for a nice company to join with all the set of my skills. If we're talking about direct messages to random people we don't know, it's about creative writing, right? So writing a simple message, hello, maybe you have a job for me, is not probably not gonna go well, right? Having a message, why you're writing to that person, and it cannot be motivational letter length, right? Like 5 sentences. Why you decided to write to this person? Maybe small compliments, giving a context, telling how do you know that person, or why you should be trustable. Maybe you have someone in common, alma mater, former employee, maybe a friend or whatever, right? Or you saw the person speaking at the event. And of course, going straight sometimes to the point that currently you're looking for a job in that person's field. For example, not like in that person's company, right? Because that would be maybe a bit too much. But maybe in the field, would that person, I don't know, have his very expensive half an hour for a discovery call to advise you, what to do and where to go, especially in a different country, right? Because when we are moving to different countries, we kind of get into the survival mode as well, because we need to build our community, the social network, also to get the professional network or a job or clients or whatever. So we like on fire.
Actually, Katrina, everything what you said, I used because yes, I did change the countries. I live now in Portugal, and in Lithuania was my comfort zone where I would have all the networks, all the people I knew. And I could share even example which reflects very much what you are saying. Even building this project, I needed more wider audience, more wider speaker from the world. And this is my example, how I networked and reached out, and it could be applied to the job seeking as well. I was listening to this podcast, Career Contessa, and I heard there this speaker who was talking about the job searching topic, and I loved her. And I was like, I need her. I want her on my show, on my project. So what I did, this is what exactly what you said. I reached out to her via LinkedIn. I wrote a message. First of all, complimenting how much I liked her, how where I found her, and then shortly what I'm trying to do and how much I would like to see her on my podcast. And guess what? Episode number one was with Michelle Schaefer. She was the one who I was reaching out, and she said, "Yeah, of course, let's do a meeting call and let's do this podcast." And that was for me like, wow, crazy. But at the same time, I reached out to other person and I didn't get the answer. So I guess we still have to leave the open door for the other person who we are reaching out, that they don't have to answer you. Am I correct?
Definitely. And let's not forget that sometimes well known people, visible people, well, let's say successful people who have a lot of on their plate, somewhere involved and always giving and, sharing, they might get quite some messages, right? So they might be tired and out of the energy, and maybe they have some family situations on. So let's not take personally. Let's either try to follow up after some time, maybe 2 weeks, maybe checking out what people in common you have who could, make a say a word for you or make the introduction. Like if you're really on the hunt for the specific person, give some time for the different forms, different messages, not like super aggressively intense, but 1, 2, max 3 times. Maybe it's not the match. Maybe this is not the person who gonna open you doors.
Katrina, do you have two or three specific message templates which you could share with people and they could use how to start the networking message?
Like I said, it'll be different scenarios, right? For example, I'm currently having my career is going on quite well, but I'm looking for a change. For someone important, I would invite for a coffee. I would say maybe in the next a month or two, you would have a time for coffee or lunch because I'm considering a career shift and I would love to get your advice because you are very well connected. I see you as a people's person and opportunities person. So like compliment and what you want and not saying, hi, can I invite you for a coffee? So this is one. Number two, if you are in a career break, so for example, writing a message, hi, I moved to this country. I see you have a couple of connections there because you did your research. Is it like warm connections and maybe by any chance you could make introduction? I would love to get the advice on how to navigate in this country. Or maybe you have any advice and you've been before in similar situation or market or the country, and you could give me advice how to navigate because like I'm on a hunt, right?
It's like a genuine acknowledging,
Yeah.
I am in the new country. I don't have network here, but hey, maybe you can help me.
Exactly.
You have time or
Totally. It's like again, being vulnerable, really researching people to have this genuine motivation to write them and to get this. So for example, you want to work in startup world in Portugal. So you check who is ambassador of startup community in Portugal, right? And write to that person saying, "Hi, I'm new in your town, in your country. To move here was always my dream. Now, on the hunt of the exciting opportunities, professional opportunities. I believe that I have a lot to offer with all my experience from previous jobs in the field of keywords. I'm looking for an advice how to move, who I should connect, and I was wondering maybe you would have like 30 minutes for discovery call, giving me very short hints. Where should I go, attend, or to be?
all three messages are really connected about researching and being vulnerable. Let's go to the other topic when we are coming back from a bigger break, right? And especially for women, there is lots of reasons why they have a break and you're coming back to job and your network feels cold. What was your advice to those friends how to handle this feeling insecure about your career gap when networking?
The advice number one is to go for lunch with a couple of colleagues, maybe from your team, from higher management, and of course prepare good questions and not challenge them, but ask what's happening, what value you expect me to maybe to bring in straight after rejoining. You know, those vulnerable questions as well. Tell them that you need to catch up. Make sure you start with very cozy people from your team and go to the management who could become your sponsor or mentor for this return. And then I think it's a very good combination. Usually it works.
Yeah, what about the situation when you don't have where to come back and you have to build everything from the scratch? Let's put it this way.
If you could just read time to time the news, what's happening, BBC, Business Insider, LinkedIn, right? Maybe you read a very interesting book or listen to the podcast and could once a month could post something, right? To keep going like one step at a time. I would say this maintenance would help you to feel much more confident. But if it's not possible, we all have more networks than we think we do. So sit down with a coffee, write down people who you admire from your friends, and well, meet them for a coffee about a professional life.
What happens when networking doesn't work?
It depends, of course, if it's this person you think that he's the key on which your life depends. And then it's painful, right? You feel rejected and you need to recalibrate and replan everything. This year, I was at this philanthropic foundation forum. And it was such a struggle for me. I didn't have energy. I didn't have like a strong why I need this. It was like 3 days from morning to the evening, and there were so many circles of different countries talking in their languages. I just didn't feel it. And it was a couple of times I was thinking, okay, I just go home. And then, Katrina, let recalibrate, go to outside, sit in the outside park, breathe in, breathe out, and return. And that's what I had to do a couple of times. Allow myself to pause and then to walk around and see if I gonna find some friendly eyes. And I did, although I had to do 3 circles.
So, what did you do when you found those friendly
Yeah, I
eyes
saw
looking
that
at you?
someone that with who I had like a nice conversation in the daytime conference. It was at the evening, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And that person say, "Oh hi," and I was like, "Hi, can I join you?" And he says, "Of course," you know. And I sat down by three amazing women, left there and stayed there, and more people came. So I was very happy to be in that circle, but it took me some time and effort to do that. Although I could be in my hotel room at that time already, you know, if I would give up.
So, as I understood correctly, one of the way is just to take a pause, breathe in, breathe out. If you have a possibility, get out for a couple seconds and go back. Unless you feel really, really bad and that's in that environment, then of course do leave. And always remember that it will pass. Just spend a couple minutes, couple hours, do your best, and then you're done. Wow. So I bet there's lots of listeners among the listeners who think, oh, wow, so you are the extrovert and you are saying that you had difficulties. What should I do if I'm an introvert and want to protect myself from all the possible energy, but I still have to network effectively.
I'm just gonna start with reminding that introverts are an amazing networkers, but under their own terms. If it's really more introverted person, so this 800 people event where you don't know anyone, these people could really feel pain in their bodies. But for example, learning group, for like a longer period of time that you can meet certain people, so some kind of community clubs, educational groups. It's like 5, 10 people where you can go with someone, be soft on yourself, but never close yourself in a box. It's all about quality and depth and choosing the places where you can reach it.
One more thing, which also I hear in all the episodes, feedback. Is the feedback part of networking? And how much feedback is important? And is it also networking, part of networking?
Collecting the insights of your former colleagues, it's really important, although it might not be so easy for those to give you one. So maybe you can ask them to write. The thing is to tell genuine feedback, it's probably going to be two sides, right? If it's really valuable. One is like what you are good at and what could be, you know, where is your growing points, where you can change a little bit. So I would say yes, I would go for it, and asking for help or feedback grows the connections because it's a signal to that person that you trust him or her enough to ask for such an intimate thing. Maybe in American culture or like more extroverted culture where networking is like a very obvious part of everything, it's okay. But in Nordic countries, in Baltic countries, it's not. It's a relationship builder, and you can do that as well with your more wider circle. Not only those who you work with, but also met somewhere you had like different opportunities. Your social circles to understand if like certain things are correlating.
Okay, Kotryna. So I always end the episodes with some homework. What's something everyone listening can try this week?
All right, finally. So homework number one. I invite you to write down certain personal goals or professional goals that you want to achieve in an upcoming year or 12 months. You can draw like a mind map. It can be many branches or two or three. And when you're done with this part, try to put one person per goal, which could open you the doors from your dormant ties or your closer networks, which you already a little bit left behind if you moved out of this professional field, for example. So the homework is about writing to 10 people from your past, 5 years past, 2 years, 1 year, few months past, and invite them for a reconnection coffee, saying that, hey, I'm heading to the new direction or new episode in my life, professional episode in my life, and really would appreciate if you could have a lunch with me and share what's happening in your field, your professional field, or your industry, because I'm trying to see where I can bring the most of the value, right? So I would appreciate your time and advice.
If you are working online or you're doing remote job, that you can also ask people just for a complimentary call or
Yeah. Online
short
coffee.
video call.
Online coffee.
Online coffee.
Online coffee.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Online coffee.
And it can be 30 minutes or so, although it's a bit short, but it's better to ask for 30 minutes online coffee, which can be extended instead of, 1 hour of the meeting. Prepare for that meeting. Be ready to be vulnerable, to tell that you're shifting, you're looking, maybe you know someone, but make sure you dedicate at least half of time to understand what the person is up for at the moment.
So number one, write 10 people to reconnect. What's number two?
Two is like a feedback topic, right? It's a fun game, although you feel quite vulnerable doing this. Is basically to send 10 or 15 messages to different people from your circles, different circles, professional, personal, like very good friends, maybe not family members, more social and professional networks with who you had working experience or some adventures or studied together, asking them, saying, look, I'm having this homework to do for one of the programs. Could you give me few points in what topic you think I'm good at, or what kind of advice you would come to me to receive, right? So basically those people should write you what they notice in you, right? What where you're good at, and for what kind of advice they would approach you, what kind of topics. You can see what correlates, what keywords correlates. Not all of them gonna answer. Don't be harsh on them, and no need to follow up. Sometimes people just write immediately. Those who say I'm gonna think, probably not gonna write you back. Just move on to another five people. This is like collecting understanding, especially for those who thinking where they good at. Number three, think about five people from your past professionally, maybe your leaders of your teams or your companies, or your clients, who could give you recommendations and write your recommendations on LinkedIn. And sometimes even the conversation starts and you say, look, I'm on my way to the new opportunities. I would really, really appreciate a bit of your time if you could put a few sentences on LinkedIn, because I had the strategy, to be more seen. Could you do that? Or if you don't like this one and you don't need LinkedIn and you don't read recommendations, think of five people who are very well connected and who could open you doors. And again, ask them for lunch, pay their lunch, and ask good questions, and maybe for some introduction.
I could sum up that this all episode about networking, and networking is not something what you do just like talking. You do have to prepare, you do have to have the questions, but the most important thing, forget that you are the best. Go to the networking thinking that I want to know more. I want to learn. I'll be doing this homework for sure, and I'll share what happens, awkward moments included, because with networking, they might happen. Kotryna, thank you for this powerful conversation. Where can people find you if they want to connect and network with you?
LinkedIn, Kotryna Stankute-Jascemskiene, and on my web, kotryna.network.
We'll share that for sure in the description sections. And don't be afraid, connect. If Kotryna can help, she will always help you, or at least invite for a cup of coffee. Don't be afraid of that. So this week, don't wait for the perfect moment or the perfect message. Start messy, start scared, show that you're vulnerable. Just start. One conversation can change everything, but only if you have it. Networking isn't about being perfect, it's about being human. And you are already really, really, really good at that. Bye.